Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. You're joined by Jamie from Safe Harbour as I come to let my chickens out in Stroud, where I live, in the countryside. I'm just going to open the door, you'll hear them come fluttering out. Good morning, girls. Good morning. Come on. Out you come. "28 chickens. Good morning, good morning, good morning, girls. We've got some scraggly looking ones that we just got from a rescue place. Got all their feathers missing. Some healthy ones that we raised actually from eggs. My daughter had them in an incubator and we watched those hatch out, life come into life from a tiny little egg, watching those little chicks kick their way out of the shell minute by minute, hour by hour. It's quite a privilege to witness life coming into action, and here they are, full grown, beautiful white specimens. And I look at these scraggly battery hens that actually came from a free range organic farm, believe it or not, one supermarket that we know of very well. And we get sold that idea that these chickens are healthy and they're free range organic. And if you were to see these poor girls, they do not look like they had a very nice time being free range and organic for a very posh supermarket. Maybe they were overwhelmed, actually, which is topic of kind of today's episode. Feeling overwhelmed. What is it? What is it to feel overwhelmed in this time? And how do we respond to that? How do we respond to that sense of unknowing and what's next in this unprecedented time we find ourselves in? Enjoy today's show.
Hi and welcome to another episode of Safe Harbour. This is episode 3, and today we're going to make the call, or make this podcast a little bit different from our previous two, and it's a how-to, really. We want to kind of look at overwhelm, because we're aware that, we struggle with overwhelm sometimes, and our friends and family and colleagues and clients do too. So we figured that you would like to get some kind of tips and tricks and tools that we might use with our clients and things that we've used with ourselves as well. And between me and Jamie, there's a fair old collection of things. And over the years of coaching with the people that we've coached, we can come up with some solutions, and hopefully you'll have some takeaways by the end of this half an hour. So that's the setup, and that's where we're headed in the next half an hour. Jamie, nice to hear from you again. Nice to be here with you again.
Yeah, nice to be back on the radio waves. Call it radio waves, podcast
I don't think
waves.
So, but we can do. Tune into the wireless.
Yes, the smooth voice of Jamie Robins, Phil Askew. Yeah, overwhelm. That makes me feel overwhelmed, just hearing that word, right? Overwhelm. And it reminds me of times in my life when I have felt overwhelmed. Most recently now, this feels like a time in my life where I constantly feel overwhelmed. And I'm watching lots of different screens all at once, as a metaphor. I'm like keeping my eye on my family screen, my relationship screen, my business screen, my health screen, what's going on in the world screen, the media screen, all of these screens, and that I'm flicking from one to the next constantly, and that has me feel overwhelmed. Yeah, sends me into a bit of a spin.
It'd be really cool to hear from you, actually, what do you mean by overwhelm? And then maybe I can give my interpretation of overwhelm as well. Overwhelm. What does it mean for you?
It means for me, if I think about it straight, if I blurt out what it means, my glass is overflowing.
Yeah.
To use another metaphor, my glass is literally teeming over the sides and I can't turn the tap off. And I just, there you go. There's my intake of breath.
Yeah.
It's exhaustion. and anxiety. I'm spinning plates and I'm dropping them.
Wow.
And they're smashing on the ground, and I'm picking one up off the floor, and then another one drops, and I'm like, ah!
Yeah.
And I'm forgetting about myself in this, like, because I'm looking outward at not dropping any of those plates, and I forget about my own personal well-being. So then I might slip into habits and patterns, and maybe numbing out a bit, having those midweek beers or whatever it is that takes the edge off. So all of that stuff all mixed up into overwhelm for me in a blink. Yeah. For you.
I'm just unpacking it as you're speaking as well, just kind of unfolding it and seeing what overwhelm means for me. Overwhelm. And I definitely struggle with it quite a bit, I've noticed. And I suppose being a solopreneur, company of one, as you, there's this whole thing where we have to wear many hats. And I like the metaphor you use, like having many screens. And so I feel like it's hats, and I have to wear many hats, and I feel I have to do my own marketing, my own personal branding, coaching, photography. I have to do all these different moving parts and make sure that they're all maintained. And if I drop any of them, or if I stop doing any of them, then I make up that I won't be able to show up in the world more as effectively as I could. And I can't do the work that I want to be doing as effectively as I can. And then it makes me feel overwhelmed if I haven't had enough sleep, or if I've had a particularly big bombshell, like I owe some money that I didn't realize, or something's come left field and it's really taken me out of the blue, and it's thrown me off balance. And that's when I feel overwhelmed. And for me, overwhelmed, how it feels is physically it manifests in me. I can feel really shit, as in tired and exhausted and aching. And I feel like I just want to go and hide and retreat a bit. Yeah.
What does that, by going away and hiding and retreating, what happens then?
Well, it doesn't go away, but it certainly soothes the moment. And what do I mean by that? I feel like I'm able to not let anything else in, because I think that's the thing for me. It's like I feel like one of those porous rocks called pumice stones. The volcanic porous rocks.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like when I have a whole load of content coming at me and a whole load of situations which are out the blue, then I can absorb them. If they're personal to me, I can absorb them. If they're about my relationships, or friends and clients or something, I've put a foot wrong, or I've said something stupid, then I feel as if all these things can permeate and they can come on board, and I feel heavy with them. Hiding away, finding some soothing or some comfort in eating good food or getting under the covers a bit, I can prevent that from happening further.
Yeah, and I guess this is showing up a lot more at the moment for me in the times that we're in, because I feel less resilient. I feel like I'm on alert, like a meerkat, like one of those meerkats that sit up on their hind legs and their heads are bobbing around, looking for danger. I'm on, and so I don't feel like my feet are on the ground when I'm overwhelmed. I'm floating and I can't feel the ground underneath me, and so I have to notice when that's happening and do all the things that help me come back to center. I like the saying of coming home to myself. I have to find my way home to myself, feel grounded, so that I can still be with all those screens. I can't turn them off, because they all need attention. They all need tuning. But when my feet are on the ground and I feel grounded, then I can sit in my metaphorical armchair and with calm and stillness and breathing, and I can see what's going off on the screens. There's the breath.
Keep coming back to that, which is interesting, because that's one of the things I want to mention later on. So I think personally what happens for me when this happens is another therapeutic term which I picked up a long time ago. It's very obvious, but I think it sums things up really nicely for me, is one of being flooded. I feel as if, not as if I'm just in the water and I can, just poking my head out and I can get some oxygen in through the nose, but I'm actually flooded. It's above and beyond my head, that I'm oversaturated, and I can recover, but I feel as if something is bigger than me and it's taken me right down.
Okay, so it's pulled you underwater. Almost.
Yes, that's how it feels.
Right.
And it's an accumulation of things, really. It's as if I'm holding one too many things. I feel overwhelmed.
And to add to what I love about that, and to add to that is another metaphor of holding, I like this one, holding beach balls underwater.
Yeah.
Like trying to hold inflated balls underwater in a swimming pool.
Yeah.
And trying to hold them under. It's exhausting. And they just keep popping up. And when they pop up, they cause damage. They come out with quite ferocious force. And then
I'm really fascinated by what you're saying there, because I take a lot of my references from nature and what happens in nature, and when you say that, it's interesting because when I feel about holding this beach ball under the surface of the water, it's a struggle, right? It's a struggle holding it down there. And so it reminds me that, nothing is permanent. Everything's shifting or changing all the time. It's the Tao, it's the Chinese Tao, right? Everything's changing all the time. Nothing, even though it looks static, is static. It's all changing. And so when we're holding that ball under the water, actually the yearning for it, the desire for it is for it to surface and change and to release and woof.
Yeah.
And sometimes I think overwhelm can be something that I'm doing to myself and I'm holding on to it because maybe it serves me in some way.
Right, yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Things like overwhelm, it does serve me because it means that, like I was saying, one of the ways that I deal with overwhelm when I have it is I go off and get under the covers, or rather not literally like a 5-year-old with a teddy bear, but that's a thing. It's a possibility. Yeah, absolutely. I'm not saying it's wrong to do. For me, what that means is sleep, escape, go away from,
right.
Close my eyes,
switch
cover.
off. Yeah.
Feel warm, soothe, put a duvet over and switch off. Yeah, exactly. And that's one of the ways I deal with it.
It's something I've done when I've had depression in I think 3 times in my life. And that is literally what I need to do to escape from it, is I need to just switch off. And I literally will go to bed. It doesn't matter what time it is. It can be 5 o'clock, 10 o'clock. And I just want to go off. I just want to go and turn off the switch and wake up the next day, like reset, like turning the computer on and then off again. And that does actually bring some kind of reset, but I do run away. I am running away when I do that. I'm not facing up to what that beach ball, what gift that beach ball has to offer me in that moment.
Which I think contextually is fine, isn't it? As in, sometimes that's okay, particularly at the beginning, because it's a sign. It's like something is telling you something. It wants you to hear you. So if you were to avoid it or run away or back off or deal with it immediately, then maybe you don't get the learning from it. Maybe it doesn't. It needs to have the enormity of impact in order that you take the lesson away from it. Maybe you really need to feel it before, this is painful enough that I'm going to do something about this instead of repeating.
Yeah. Glennon Doyle, this book I've been dipping into, she says all feelings are for feeling. It's been my mantra recently. Good and bad, they're all there to be felt, and we're taught that. I was taught as a child, that's enough, all right, that's enough. Crying is a prime example. My parents, as soon as I'd been crying for a certain amount of time, all right, that's enough crying now, that's it, that's stop. That's enough,
that's it.
Shut it down, turn it off. I can't, No, that's enough. I said, we're done with the crying. So those feelings weren't given permission to be expressed. And when I brought my kids up, certainly the second child, I was really able to allow them to cry, to really cry and let it all out until it couldn't come anymore.
Yeah.
And I thought, what a gift that is to give those little girls. It's painful. It was painful for me and uncomfortable for me at the time to sit and watch them cry until they couldn't cry anymore. But it was, and there was a lot of unschooling I had to do for myself around that. Like my parents were in my ear going, "Well, tell her to stop crying now. That's probably enough. She probably shouldn't cry that much." And I had to really ignore that and go,
shouldn't
okay,
cry
darling.
that much. Yeah.
Yeah. And then hold them, really hold them in my arms and say, it's okay, darling, you keep crying. Let it all out. Let it all out. And then they'd fall asleep in my arms.
Wow.
Content. And there it goes. And that's what I give myself permission to do that as an adult man, to cry, to really soothe myself. And just, if it comes, I just let it come and just cry. And it's such a relief and release to let those emotions just flow out of me.
I love about when you talk about that, it's like almost allowing the natural arc of that play out and finish. Without stepping in the way through, like our parents did. My mum wasn't like that. My dad was. My mum was very much, she would cry easily, and she would say, "Oh, I'm so stupid for crying." She would beat herself up for crying if I saw her crying sometimes. But equally, she let it happen. It wasn't like she wasn't shamed by it, but she was as well. So, I can do it, but not for too long. That's it. Enough of that.
Enough of that.
Clear that mess up. Come on.
Is that a generational thing, do you think?
Oh, absolutely. I think it is.
Yeah.
I have clients coming to me all the time. I'm sure you do too. And I'm just thinking of some examples, without naming names, of course, of conflict. With overwhelm, it's almost like they make it wrong. I shouldn't be overwhelmed. I'm that well educated. I do exercise. I'm eating well. I'm nourished. I am in a good relationship. I shouldn't feel overwhelmed. And yet, it's just a very human, very natural thing that we feel sometime, whether we've had enough sleep or whether we've had a particularly, thing that's kind of thrown us off balance, has just sideswiped us, boom, it's thrown us off balance. And that took me by surprise. I think we can't be prepared for everything.
And what's the fear that most of our clients come to us with around that? For me, what I experience is weakness, especially with men.
Yeah.
That it's a sign of weakness to be vulnerable and to cry.
Yeah.
And to say that I'm not good enough at that thing.
Yeah. I think I love what you're saying about what's the fear. I think the fear is that it's not transient, that it's not going away. I feel overwhelmed and I want to get away from this as quick as possible. And so please, coach, tell me how I can get away from it as fast as possible. What can I do? How can I practice something to get me through this?
Yeah.
And yet sometimes, such as, when you sow the seeds, you can't sit there and will the plant to grow. We have to wait for the right season, wait for it to naturally transpose into its other form.
Yeah. And what's the gift there? What are we stepping over when we decide that we don't? Because it's another story, a narrative that we've picked up as kids, maybe, that it's not okay to have those negative feelings, that we should always live in positive feelings. That
It drives me crazy. When you come across people who seem like they're 100% positive all the time, hey, just look on the bright side. That's bullshit. And I notice I'm triggered when I notice that and say that. Maybe because it's like, oh yeah,
it's unrealistic.
Completely,
totally unrealistic to think that we can stay happy or maintain a level of happiness forever,
just
our entire lives. Yeah, and that just thinking positive will make it okay. The real gift in every negative emotion. And this is what I'm really doing some work on at the minute with Saboteur work, is really noticing the gift in that trigger, that I've just been triggered by someone or I've just been affected by what someone said, and to really notice what that brings up in me and what's the gift I'm being offered there. I know that can be quite easy to say in the moment because someone's really just pissed me off, but what's the gift I'm stepping over here? What's the opportunity I'm missing out on by getting hooked by that saboteur and going, you know what? In my head, and my saboteur's going, rah, 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 at this person. Yeah. What am I missing?
So walk me through the structure of how you do that, because I think this would be a really useful takeaway for people. What is the flow or the chain of events that, when you're able to see it and do something with it, what happens? What do you do?
Well, that for me would be a trigger. I would be activated or triggered by someone.
And what do you mean by trigger?
So they will say something that has me feel angry. It might be something to do with COVID or politics or, I don't know, bringing up children. A classic example is parenting. I could get triggered by someone talking to their child in a really unkind way and shaming them, for example. So I would notice that saboteur in me get activated, and I would just name it as quickly as I could. I'd name it and go, there's my judge saboteur showing up and judging this person, judging them for how they're speaking to their child. So I would press pause on that as quickly as I could, like grab it and freeze frame it, kind of give it a little chuckle and go, here's my judge saboteur just showed up again for the third time this morning, and just be slightly sarcastic around it, and then name him my judge for judging this person, unhijack myself from it, and then have some empathy for this person who's judging shaming their child in front of everyone, that it's not their fault, that it probably comes from his parenting, from his dad who used to talk to him like that, and he's just doing his best, he's really trying his hardest, and just really unhook myself and play out a new scenario. What's the gift here? What's the gift I'm being offered in this scenario? It probably triggers me because I've probably done it to my kids and shamed my kids in front of friends. And so the gift is, maybe when I speak to my kids next time in front of friends, that I will be really careful and cautious how I use my language, for example. That's one example.
Really nice structure.
Is that clear?
Really simple, yeah, really simple. And just to kind of maybe just reframe, or not reframe it, put it into slightly different words. Maybe that saboteur is a term that we use in our coaching, which is kind of in essence, it's that nagging inner voice. One of those nagging inner voices that wants to keep you small and hidden, and it's shame avoidant. So that's a term we use, saboteur. Yeah, so that's brilliant. I'm trying to think about some of the things, because we want to give you some ideas on what you can do when you hit overwhelm. So for me, a preemptive practice that really helps me with overwhelm is to journal in the mornings. So whenever I wake up in the morning, weekdays, mainly Monday to Friday, I'll sit down with my iPad and a really good app called Day One, and I will spend, first of all, I'll draw an image. I'll just get out colored pens and I'll draw, or pastels, and I'll just draw something on a bit of paper, something that I'm expressing, or rather I'm expressing something that I'm feeling as opposed to it needing to look like anything. And once I've drawn that image, I know it's done because I feel like, yeah, that's complete. And once I take that image, I'll just take a shot of it, take a photograph of it and take it into the iPad, then go into Day One and I'll write for 10 minutes. How does this image make me feel? What do I notice from it? What am I learning from it? What's it want me to know? What if it had a voice, what would it tell me? So in essence, I'm kind of, I suppose, giving voice to my subconscious. I'm giving voice to that which doesn't usually get heard. And in doing so, what happens is that it kind of wraps words around the unspoken, and I stop feeling run and driven by my subconscious. That which I'm flooded by or confused by or overwhelmed by suddenly has a form, and I'm able to kind of open the door in it and shed some light on it and go, right, this is the message for me. This is what's coming through. It doesn't resolve it. It doesn't make those challenges go away necessarily, but it makes me feel like I have a handle on it.
Yeah. So that kind of gets it out of your head almost, and gives it some 3 dimensions and brings it into your day so that you can touch it and sense it and feel it. And
I think it gives me a sense of control as well, which I'm a little bit of a control freak, and I'm starting to learn that in therapy. I'm like, whoa, I didn't realize I was quite as much. But it gives me a handle on it. I'm able to go, right, I can give it perspective. I can give it, this is what it looks like. I can rotate it around in 3D space and give it some separation as well, actually, to separate it out, which is why the journaling piece is really good as well, because if I'm writing for 10 minutes about this image, pretty soon that'll unravel, and that writing will then point to how I'm feeling. How am I feeling in this moment? And that's a really great thing. Just maybe building on this for another additional tool, and briefly, that you and I do the quad check-in, right? So Jamie and I, as we may have mentioned before, we check in with each other using WhatsApp, and we record WhatsApp audio memos to each other. And we check in the mornings and check out in the evenings. Not every day, but fairly frequently, fairly commonly. And sometimes we start that check-in process with like a quad check-in, as in to be able to kind of get a handle on, instead of just saying, how am I feeling? We say, so how am I feeling in these 4 areas? So mentally, physically, emotionally, and spiritually. And we sort of, give ourselves a bit of a moment to reflect on each of those 4 nodes. And that kind of makes it easier to be able to get a handle on that and relay it.
Yeah, it really does. And it's been the regularity of that for me has really helped me in this time that we've been doing this check-in. It's really, it's been a thing. I get really excited when I see the little message pop up on my thing in the morning, because sometimes you might send me a check out the evening before, and I might have gone to bed earlier, for example, and I wake up and I see the little light on there. I go, yeah, Phil sent me a message, and it really is Phil speaking from his heart. He's really sharing from a vulnerable place of what's happening, or celebrating something that happened yesterday or that night, or something that he's worried about for the next day, and would just love some reflection from me back on that. And then I'm able to, in my own time, because there's no judgment on whether we get back to each other straight away, is there, Phil? It's just, we've kind of designed that into the way that we do these check-ins, that, even if it's 24 hours later, we'll get back to each other at some point. And what I find really helpful for me is Phil will reflect back what he's heard me say in my sharing, and not advise me or give advice, but just really just reflect it back. What I heard you say was this. Yeah. And I really feel that, mate. I really hear that that's a painful thing for you to be going through right now.
It's an absolute
and to have
gift.
That acknowledgement is just a really special thing.
Yeah, it's an absolute gift to have those. Yeah, I feel the same when I receive it from you. It feels like an absolute gift that's come through, and I love, I indulge in it and I stop. And it is actually really good for Overwhelm, because it means that if I'm busy on, cranking my business forward or whatever, or thinking about the next project, and I see that come in, I prioritize it. I pop in my headphones, and then I go off into the garden, have a sit, and then I listen through. And it's really nice to actually, I think the structure that Jamie and I use, which you may want to take away and try out with a close friend or some, a trusted ally, is to take the time, as long as you need to take in recording that WhatsApp audio memo, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 2 minutes, whatever it takes for you to actually speak it through and speak it out. Don't feel like you're waffling. Just allow yourself to actually speak it through and, bring out all of the aspects that you're thinking about that are troubling you or that are with you at the moment. And then just send it, and then trust the other person's got it. Don't feel like you're burdening them with it. Obviously, you have to design this kind of alliance with the person, the ally that you're doing this with. And I would say stick to one person, backwards and forwards to this one person for a period of time anyway, to trial it. But when you receive that message, listen to it, and really, take time out yourself to listen to that message that's come from your ally, your trusted ally, and notice how it lands with you. And then, like Jamie and I, we call it reflection. So, I make up that he's inviting me to reflect back on what he said. And it's not about offering him advice or fixing anything. But what it is kind of, I notice I feel this way when I hear your message. And it felt, emotional for me when I was listening to your message. And I noticed it made me feel this way. So anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, well, it's really nice how you explain it. And what that does for me is it has me feel seen. It has, even though I'm speaking into a microphone of my phone, and not to you in person, it feels, I do know that you are going to sit with it in the garden and spend time listening to the whole thing. And that brings some comfort to me to know that you're going to do that and you're going to respect that time, and vice versa.
Yeah.
And so that has me feel really seen and witnessed differently to how it might if we were in person on Zoom, or pop down the park on, like you do with your other friend in London and have a beer. It's different to that. It's instant, and I can press send, and I feel lighter, and I feel, that's good. Phil's going to listen to that at some point, and that feels like I've been seen, and that's special. Really is.
And I think that takes time as well, doesn't it? So if you listening to this want to try that out, think of that person that you can trust with your innermost workings, the things that are happening for you at the moment. And maybe I would say, maybe somebody who isn't a family member, maybe it is a family member, but maybe you have an agenda for them by way of, what I mean by that is that you may have an issue with a family member that you want to share with somebody impartial. And with a family member, we tend to have an agenda. We want for them, there's a certain, we have this yearning for them to experience life in the best possible way. So we don't want to burden them with certain things or interpret it as burdening them with certain things. So maybe you want to choose a colleague, choose somebody who's a close friend, and design it with them. Sit down and say, look, how about doing this for like a month to see what happens? Check in every day in the morning, check out in the evening. Full permission for each other to share exactly how we're feeling, without judgment, without solution providing, but just to listen and then just to reflect back.
Yeah, I really like that check in, check out part. Yeah. And there's a yes and for me. Have it feel that it's not a big thing in the early stages when you're designing it for you and your friend or colleague. Have it be doable. Have it not be a big thing that you have to check in and then you have to check out, because it could be it could get to a level where, oh no, I didn't check out tonight, and he or she's going to think, oh no. So just really, when you design it, like maybe you just check in the day, just check in once a day to start with, and then maybe move into checking out as well. And just be gentle with yourselves, I guess, was my point I wanted to add to Phil's, was just, make it easy in the early stages so that you don't get into this, oh no, I didn't do that thing again. I didn't check out. I don't know. Yeah. Just don't set yourself up to fail is, I guess, my bottom line point. Yeah.
And
make
you don't
it easy.
Need anything else to self-flagellate with.
We
have enough of this going on. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just one maybe last point that comes from me, it popped up there, which was important. Don't feel as if you need to be in the perfect environment to record these WhatsApp memos to each other. I'm often making coffee or, doing some porridge the first thing in the morning, microwave's going and beeping and whirring. And I know that, Jamie's hearing that and that's life happening in the background. Don't think it has to be utter silence or, but do it in private as well. There's something about not having people around to listen to, which enables you to really share from the heart.
Yeah. That's right. And celebrate, it doesn't always have to be overwhelmed stuff that you're talking about, right? Me and you can be, I can message you in the morning. I'm really excited about something. I was really excited about doing these podcasts.
Yeah.
So our check-ins over the last couple of days have been, ooh, we're getting really excited about doing this podcast, and that's to be celebrated.
Yeah.
And sometimes I can be moved to tears about something that I've seen or experienced or something I'm going through.
Yeah.
And be really delicate and fragile and be crying on the phone. And there's no one there, just me and my phone in my hand. But I know that Phil is going to receive that, and it's going to be received with tenderness and respect and non-judgment, no judgment. And he's going to reply at some point when he feels moved to. And that's the beautiful thing about it. Yeah.
So that was a little bit of conversation around overwhelm and how to deal with overwhelm when you experience it. If you've come across new ways of doing it or different ways of approaching overwhelm, what's worked for you? Let us know. Pop us an email. Either Jamie on his site or me on my site, and we'd love to hear from you. Maybe we can build on that conversation. So my website is philaskew.com, and just send me an email from there if you wish to. And yours, Jamie?
It's www.jamiecoach.com.
Great. Cool. So let's wrap this one up, and we will speak with you next time, and it's been a real pleasure.
Loved it. Thanks, Phil.